Spoiler alert, I don't die in episode 112 of Shiren the Wanderer. Ha ha ha, I ruined it for you, didn't I? Hello and welcome back to Shiren the Wanderer. If you don't know who I am by this time, there's something wrong with you. I am going to equip the sleepless armband because we are finally... I was hoping he'd go for the arrow. It's okay, because we're finally at my favorite part of Faith's final puzzle. From floors, I'd say 31 to 45, you don't really run into anything really dangerous. It's kind of a break, but there's a sleep radish up there and a gray slime. You run into gray slimes and polygon songs, but I'm just going to postpone the gray slime, which is usually what I do. And if you have an anti-drain armband, obviously, polygon songs, not a big deal. But starting on 46 through 60, you have sleep radishes, Leeleks, and sky dragons. All three of those, a deadly combination. And then 61 to 75 is pretty dangerous too. Whew, I should have checked for a trap. Although, even if I hit that trap and was confused, I think I'd be alright. Look at this sleep radish, he's trying so hard. This must be what a date with Bill Cosby feels like. Ho ho! What a zing. Just melted his pudding pop with that sick burn. Hey, future Doofy, if you're watching this in 2060, remember this time? Doesn't it take you back? Remember when America's beloved sitcom comedian was found to be brutally raping unconscious women? And also crazed fundamentalists were murdering people in Paris and people flying in Russia? Ho ho! Those were the days. Oh, the news is so depressing. But you know what? I'm not going to let it get me down, even though the news is not super uplifting. I love this time of the year. The fall is my favorite time of the year. I just went on vacation. I try to always go on vacation in October and November. Not a long vacation, I just went to New York, but it was very relaxing and enjoyable. Any other time of the year, New York is just a dank, vomit-covered, urine-soaked reminder of rampant consumerism and inequality that I would never want to set foot in, and just covered in tourists. But in the fall, it's just the weather is cool, the leaves are turning, it's just magical. And I feel happy because I think Thanksgiving is coming, and then my birthday hits, and then Christmas hits, so it's just 1, 2, 3 punch of just joy. It's been that way my whole life. I love the autumn. Let's see. I've got 7 fullness, but I'm going to go ahead and eat this giant rice ball to make some room. So you can see it increases your max fullness 7% too, which is pretty badass. I think I've said this before, but this is a great example of use what you have what you use. Some people would save their Bufus staff. Ugh, strange spell. Alright, I guess I'll meander around here until it breaks off. Some people would save their Bufus staff for a better monster like Death Danger or Death Master. But I like to use it. I'm going to get some pumpkin muppet meat here. Because what good does it do if you die with the Bufus staff when you could have survived with some pumpkin muppet meat? And I might as well use this passage armband. I'll get far away from the monsters. Then I don't have to worry about a sleep radish putting me to sleep because no monster can really attack me except the pumpkin muppet. And I can wait for this stupid strange spell to wear off. This episode, I am going to start designing a game. And hopefully, I'm also going to find a strengthening jar in that monster house. I want to make sure I don't fall down. There's the walrus. I have a walrus shield. I could hunt him down, but I have so many awesome staffs and items, I'm not really that concerned. I'm at the point now where I'm just improving the quality. Oh, hey, I won't step on any traps. That's good. I'm improving the quality of my inventory, but it's already pretty high. I would like this Scroll of Blessing, though. So I'll find something to put down. I also have a walrus jar. Walrus jars and pointless jars and jars of identity can be used to hold items in a pinch. So if you need extra space in your inventory, you can always use those to hold things that you don't need right away. Of course, it's a little inconvenient because you gotta crack them open, but it's a good extra use. So I have a walrus jar. I might actually use that walrus jar to get some of that loot in that monster house if there's anything super awesome. Because it's a little bit of opportunity cost. Obviously you can't use it to steal items anymore. But remember, have what you use, so it's not a good idea in Shiren the Wanderer just to like hold on to a bunch of awesome items and never use them. Except maybe in Herb of Victory, maybe, but even then, if you feel like you gotta use it, just use it. Yeah, but this episode, in fact, I think I might just start using my walrus jar right now. Might as well, since I talked about it. So I'll save this fresh postpone. I'm just stocking up on postpones in case you didn't notice. So postpone plus switching, that will be my strategy. It's kind of OP, it's kind of broken, but that's my typical average winning phase final puzzle run. Is just to postpone and switch my way through the last 4 floors. Because there's kind of a gauntlet of like unavoidable damage on 86 to 95. And if you don't have a lot of Kairos or a restorative armband, or not restorative, recovery armband, then you gotta get through quickly, because you just can't avoid all the snot pigs and dragons damaging you non-stop. And strange spells, I think, as those floors have. I keep getting sidetracked. I'm getting close to the loot though. I'm pretty excited. Let's see what's in there. Oh, I think I see a jar. It could be the one. Alright, don't put another strange spell on me. Good. If I don't, or if I didn't have a Cairo, I'd be really, really careful about strange spells. Did I get killed by strange spell in an earlier run? I think I did. Power up, might as well use it. But since I have Kairos, I'm kind of taking some risks. And I have a revival herb, which makes me get incredibly crazy. As soon as I find my strengthening jar though, usually I turn to granny mode, so I'm gonna be super, super conservative. I start shooting arrows down hallways and checking every space for traps. And because when I have that strengthening jar, I know that it's in the bag as long as I don't do something really dumb. Alright, it's a jar of identity, not a strengthening jar, but like I said, I can use it, I'll use it to ID this armband. I've already ID'd all the important armbands and some staffs, so pretty much I'm not really concerned. I mean, if I find some weird armbands like the armbands I haven't ID'd and I get a identity armband late in the dungeon, or what other armbands? Armband of Sight. So there are some good armbands still left, but I have everything I need pretty much. Recovery armband, like I said, that would be nice, but those are like bonuses. So I am ahead of the curve at this point. I'm not really worried. Yeah, this episode, I'm going to start designing a game. We're going to continue the design I started a long time ago in like the 20s. I think it was like over a year ago. I said that Shiren the Wanderer obviously is kind of a niche game. There aren't a lot of people who appreciate this kind of high-stakes roguelike gameplay with somewhat primitive graphics by today's standards. But I think the fundamental allure of Shiren the Wanderer is powerful enough to be the skeleton for a game that has mainstream appeal. It just needs to be updated, the design. So we're going to make kind of a... That's the disadvantage of wearing the sleepless armband all the time. I should have put the anti-drain on when I didn't know. Oh well, it's carelessness. It's not a big deal. Yeah, if you update the design a little bit, I think the ingredients are here in this game for a mainstream hit. So that's what I'm going to try to do. We're going to brainstorm for a few episodes about that. And if I'm still in phase final puzzle, we'll move on to another game if I finish this design. But we're going to go into a fair amount of detail. Not technical, like programming detail so much, because I'm not going to literally program and playtest the game for real. But in the design, the mechanics, the aesthetics, the story, we'll go ahead and flesh that out quite a bit. Filled up my walrus jar, so I'm going to have to find something to drop. It's like all my items are so good, I just don't want to put any of them down. Monster scrolls are sort of my desperation item to generate strengthening jars if I don't have one and I really need one. But probably if I had to drop something at some point, I might drop the monster scroll. I'm gonna hold on to it though until I have a strengthening jar. As soon as I have a strengthening jar, then I really don't need it that much. I think I used one. Did I ever use one to generate? No. I didn't use one to generate a seed of ill luck because you can only. I think you can only find those in the shop. I believe. Maybe you can pick them up. I don't know. I've never picked up a seed of ill luck off the ground. I don't think. I don't know. I've found like 2 or 3, but I know I bought at least 2 of them. Anyway, that's for another day. This day we showed designing game. So just as a jumping off point, we're going to try to conserve what's so great about Shiren the Wanderer while at the same time updating it to be appealing to most gamers, which is a tall order, but I think we can do it. As a jumping off point, let's recap the 10 life lessons in Shiren the Wanderer, because that'll be basically, that covers the core of why Shiren the Wanderer is so great. Lesson number 1 was life is difficult, so we're going to make it a difficult game. We're going to conserve the idea of losing everything when you die, and try to make that appealing. Again, that's difficult, but I think it can be done. 2, failure can be good as long as you learn something. A lot of people playing this game, when they die and they lose everything, they feel like, why did I play this game? I'm back to square one, I have nothing. And they don't understand that, no, they learned something. They have something more than they had when they first started playing the run, because now they have more knowledge and skill. We're going to have to make that a little bit more explicit in our design. That, sure, you lost everything, but there's something that you gained. And we'll talk about that later on, but that's an important element to conserve. Number 3, early floors are important. So we want the early floors to set up success for later floors. I'm going to go into more detail about that later on, but essentially what I'm going to do is this game is going to transition from a single player to a multiplayer game. So the first few floors of the dungeon are going to be single player, and then gradually we're going to add in more players as the dungeon progresses. Human players, so this is a multiplayer game. Number 4 was do your research. So we want there to be enough depth in the game. Hey, Leelek. Let me see if I can hit him with an arrow. Or hit it with an arrow. I think I might be able to one-hit it after that. Oh, it's too risky, Doofy. I would have survived probably, but if a sleep radish came up, I don't know. I could have eaten my revival herb. That would have been horrible. Alright, don't even. Okay, good. Alright, this one I'm definitely going to slow down. Not going to make the same mistake twice. Ho ho ho! Smart move, Doofy. You almost got huxtabulled. Alright. I was at. Do your research. So there has to be enough depth in the items and the gameplay so that people who know some of the meta have an advantage. That people who study are better than people who know nothing about the game. That's kind of difficult not to do, but it's important to keep in mind. Next one was important. Use what you have what you use. So we want to make sure it's not possible to just sort of grind and hoard a bunch of items and be incredibly OP. We have to make sure that you need to use the items. We're going to handle that with sort of the inventory limitations and item design. The next one was pay attention, be alert. So we want a game where some of the things are kind of subtle. Not everything is ultra obvious. So people who pay attention have some kind of advantage. Next one was take your time during critical turns and pay attention. This is going to be hard to carry over because remember, this is going to be a real-time multiplayer game. Turn-based multiplayer roguelike, as I said before, as in Shiren 3 for the Wii, is incredibly tedious. There's a very small number of people who would enjoy such a thing, but for the vast majority of gamers, it's just too slow. Sometimes you'll see reviewers who play this game who haven't played roguelikes say something like, the gameplay feels so jerky, and they try to play it like Link to the Past. They just immediately run up and attack every enemy they see without ever pausing. And somehow we're going to have to find a way to translate the idea of critical turns into a real-time game. That reminds me, there's a first-person shooter called Super Hot that is actually a turn-based FPS. It's just the turns are very short in duration. So I thought that was cool. I was like, hey, they made a turn-based first-person shooter. let's see, what was the next rule? Oh, the most important rule is be creative. So that has to do with the verbs. We need a set of promiscuous verbs that Shiren and the enemies can use. Or that, not Shiren, but the players and the enemies can all use that interact in interesting ways. So that'll be the key point. Remember, that's my favorite thing about Shiren the Wanderer. And then the last two, have fun, don't give up. That just is related to the 4 types of gamers. So we want to make a game that appeals to all 4 types of gamers. Not just explorers and achievers, also socializers and killers. Alright, hey, perfect timing. Another monster house. I'm going to save. Will I survive? Probably, because I have so many amazing items. But we'll continue designing this real-time multiplayer roguelike next time in Shiren the Wanderer. I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Eat this herb and go to Sleepy Time Junction. Your stomach is so empty, you can barely function. I promise no monsters will rape you in Sleepy Time Junction. He's asleep, said the radish of fear. Let's all jam our tentacles up his rear. And that's how wanderers die in Sleepy Time Junction.
Smart move, Doofy. You almost got Huxtable.